I feel like he's just like, I'm back and I'm going to collect as many checks as I can along the way. You know what I mean?
How old is Bonak now? We talked about this before. Is he 43 or something?
Something like
Some
that.
of those lines, yeah. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Where exactly.
Just keeps smashing guys that are way younger than him and bigger.
Yeah.
Smashing younger dudes, is what you're saying?
Oh. We got to work on the wording here, Canuck. My visual is going all nuts. It's no
Maybe
good.
got to work on where your heads are at. Yeah. The Americans are just
You
sick.
put it there.
Yeah.
Yeah. We use that term in sports.
Smashing guys.
Hey everybody, welcome to It's Just Bodybuilding. I'm Big Ron Partlow, and of course, got my co-host Dusty Hanshaw and the producer Scott McNally. Remember to like, share, subscribe, comment, and
Ring the bell.
That's right. And remember, IamMutant.com sponsoring the show proudly for I don't know how long now, but they've been awesome. Remember, go to IamMutant.com, get your IsoSurge, get your All In, and everyone should get on the gear.
All the gear.
Not to mention the Mind FK, which is awesome.
I'm on it right now.
Change your life.
I'm hooked on it. I use it to train. I use it to do other things.
You're talking about, is that like sex things?
Yes.
It's nasty things that I need to be focused for. I'm doing double caffeine today. I got my coffee in my West Coast mug.
Nice.
And then I got what's left of my Diet Coke from last night's movie.
Pooh.
A little bit, yeah.
Double fisting.
Done a little both. Sometimes I pour a little in. Right? We're good.
But your piano music has already been noticed. Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm having a soothing morning.
I have some soothing jazz playing on my TV because there's some guys working on the high rise and they're dangling outside my window. And I need a little bit of noise in the living room so the dogs just mind their business.
Pipe down.
You know? So you might hear, I might have to mute myself a little bit. The guys might have to cover my ass. So there's one bar
It's like,
there.
I feel like we're in a jazz club right now. Or Dusty, you said like we're about
nice
to order
restaurant.
steak. Yeah, we're
I've
going to order steak.
I've been in
so-
many restaurants with this same song
Gonna
playing.
get some linguine soon.
I'm waiting for I'm waiting for my apps right now. I'm
Yeah.
waiting for 'em.
Yeah, okay. As long as it doesn't get picked up by the YouTube bots, we should be all
We'll
right.
see. We'll see.
So we gotta talk
It seems
enough.
like it's getting a little louder now than it was before, but we'll find out.
It's fine.
We'll find out.
It'll be
It's
good.
just because they noticed it, so now they just can't ignore it. It's gonna drive them crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Woody,
what's going
why are
on?
you going to Arizona? I gotta know. Why is Woody going to Arizona? This is important.
Woody's
Wait,
on a
what?
flight.
Yeah, he's on a flight to Arizona
Oh,
listening.
we have one of our listeners is flying. Dusty's
Woody.
going to derail us
Yeah, I have to know why he's flying to
instantly
Arizona.
and things just fall apart from here.
We were already done. It's
We're on
already
a leg too, 20 seconds, so we have to wait a minute for him
Oh,
to
it's okay. He
text
can answer in
back.
a minute, and I'll keep an eye.
All right.
We're
All
good.
right.
Okay. Before we get going, we got to just touch on something. By now, everyone's heard that our friend Fouad, Abiad, was in a pretty bad motorcycle accident in California on his road trip. And, details aside, we just want to take a minute to wish him the absolute best of luck with recovery and just best wishes to him and Summer and, all their close friends. And I know Ian was on the road trip too. And just wishing Fouad the best, and we're pulling for you, buddy. And yeah, just don't wish that on anybody, and hope that you're back in action as soon as possible. And
Yeah,
just
it's a
wanted to
tough
make
one.
sure.
That was a
100%.
tough one to hear in the gym that morning. I got the text. I'm not gonna lie. I finished the chest portion of my workout, and I was like, I'm not here anymore. It's time to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really wishing him the best. So just wanted to take a second and acknowledge Fouad, and thanks for all you've done for bodybuilding, and we'll continue to do. Just take a second for all the fans to, know that we wish him the best. So,
Yep.
Okay, we had the Dubai Pro,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Beiruz Tabani won 2 years in a row. Fantastic bodybuilder. Now he's Iranian, right? Which is why we don't see him at the U.S. shows. Correct.
Yeah. And I wonder, will they let him in now? Like, will we be seeing him at the Olympia, especially with everything going on,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what's going on with him and Hadi. I don't know what's happening with that. Did you guys hear anything about? I mean, geez.
I had a bunch of people say that there was a way for Hottie to get in, so it doesn't sound like it's an issue, but that's obviously through fans who sometimes know everything or sometimes think they know everything. So we'll see. I hope they're right. I want to see him. I mean, I want to see everybody be able to have the opportunity to do what they earned. But, I really hope they're right, because I also think that Hottie is the guy that we tend to forget about, and I don't know how, but we do.
Yeah, which is weird.
Yep. Yeah, and also, too, if he doesn't show up, number one, it's going to be a stacked lineup, right? Like, no matter what. But I always feel like there's going to be that question. You know what I mean? Like, if he wasn't there, it's like, well, what if Hottie was there? How would he have finished? Then again, though, I guess there's always somebody that can't make it. It doesn't always come together exactly the way we want, like the other year with Nick Walker. You know, it's like he got taken out, and it's like we were all expecting Nick to be there. And, you know, so there's always that one guy out. And you have to wonder what would have happened if Nick was there. And now, if Hottie doesn't make it, what would happen if Hottie wasn't there? But ideally, man, see them all together to, like, head-to-head with Derek again. Get him next to Samson. You know, all of that.
Oh, it says here, Beirut is stuck in Dubai. Airspace to Iran is closed, which kind of makes sense.
Okay. I wonder why.
Yeah.
Well, if you're going to be stuck somewhere, Dubai's not too bad.
Yeah, I can think of worse.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm sure they're taking good care of him there. He's eating well, going to the gym, you know?
Yeah. So, okay, all the best to those guys traveling over there. Yeah, you know, like, I mean, Diash was at the show. You know, all those guys, I mean, flying in and out of anywhere in that area right now would be a little stressful.
Yeah.
So, and what did we think? Let's touch. I mean, I know he was 6th place, but we got to show that video.
Oh, yeah.
Of Neckzilla.
So I've got this, first of all. There was the top 6.
There's a top 6 there.
Bonak. Yeah.
Bonak getting 2nd? I mean, he just never stops.
Yeah, I told you he won't go away.
He won't go away.
I feel like he's just like, I'm back, and I'm going to collect as many checks as I can along the way. You know what I mean?
How old is Bonak now? We talked about this before. Is he 43 or something?
Something like
Some
that.
of those lines, yeah. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Where exactly.
Just keeps smashing guys that are way younger than him and bigger.
Yeah.
Smashing younger dudes, is what you're saying?
Oh. We got to work on the wording here, Canuck. My visual is going all nuts. It's no
Maybe got to work on where your heads are at. Yeah. The Americans are just
You
sick.
put it there.
Yeah. We use that term in sports.
Yeah.
You know?
You ever see those those clips where they show sports and they just play the things the announcers say that are just off if you're hearing them wrong?
Right. Totally out of context.
Like, if you're listening, you're like, oh, man, he wishes he didn't say it like that.
Yeah. And he really drives into him.
Oh, there was some that were so bad. Like, I can't even say them because
some offensive lineman coach.
In this context, I know that YouTube would flag the hell out of it. So,
yeah,
it's brutal.
Tanya likes the low key piano music playing.
Oh yeah, that's. I mean, it's a must. We're trying to set the tone here and let you guys know this is a classy environment. I got glasses now. We needed it. It's
classy.
Ron didn't want to be outdone. Yeah, here we go. We got to play this.
All right.
Yeah.
He needs to bring his legs up.
Yeah.
So,
I heard Aceto on Heavy Muscle said, like, or maybe it was Dave, said you knew that, like, looking at him on his own, he's either going to be first place. It was Aceto, either first place or 5th place, and there's not going to be any in between, you know?
Right. Yeah, they're either going to put him first on just freaky mass.
Yeah.
Or they're going to go, wow, you know, the flow and the structure and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, these guys are ahead of him.
Yeah.
Who did he work with? Because he's in this time, and he never has been all the way in. And
you know, like, and he could even get harder. Like, I mean, he's got strided glutes, but technically he could still get more strided. You know?
I don't think he wants to lose any size.
Yeah, it's just about to sacrifice the fullness, eh? So,
I think Milos had something to do with it. I don't know if he helped him completely.
Do you think he's using insulin?
Maybe a little.
Yeah, that's the secret.
Or wait, maybe that's the hilarious part, is that he's the only guy Milos has that's not on insulin.
Right, doesn't even need it.
No, I don't want to spill. Yeah.
I feel like it should be illegal for guys like him to not wear, like, shorts at all times. Like, even in a restaurant with the piano playing.
He can't fit into pants. There's no pants that, you know, like,
well, he had shorts on at FIBO.
Yeah.
And his calves, like, I know his calves look like they match his physique. Right?
They're
like
retarded.
they look like they match the legs, right? But when you see him walking around with human beings in shorts, then you're like, oh God. Like, and I mean, I've seen some big calves. I mean, Ben Pekulski had crazy calves. Dallas had ridiculous calves. I've seen Dorian's calves.
Remember him?
Frank Hauser's calves. I've seen them all up close.
Yeah.
But I mean, this guy just walking around with other people.
How tall is he? You saw him in person.
He's a big guy. Like he's 5'10" at least.
Okay.
5'10"? Was he 5'10" at least? I mean, I'd say around there. Maybe he's 5'9". I don't know
for sure.
But he's not he's not little.
Yeah.
I think the most impressive thing about his physique at that size is the hairline.
Oh, solid.
No kidding. That's a hairline that hasn't had to either. He's got great genetics, or he hasn't had to use a lot of stuff to get where he is. You know,
Yeah, that's
probably
the
maybe a
scary
little
part.
both.
It's probably never taken an oral.
Yeah.
He's like, why bother?
Here I
Take
am.
whatever
you
you
know,
got.
They don't want him to pop.
I got like 10,000 D-balls to my lifetime, and he's like never taken an oral. Yeah.
It's interesting, that little hernia he has. You see that? Watch when he see how it popped out, and then he can suck it in though too. My eyes were just glued to that now.
Or is that just his normal outie? Does he just have an outie belly button?
It's
I don't
right.
know.
I think it's a little bit.
Oh,
of a hernia.
Cormier does his training and posing, right? Dane just
Okay,
reminded
that
us.
makes total sense.
I knew
yeah.
that. I knew that. I
Yeah,
knew that was
yeah.
Cormier. I just forgot. Yeah.
Yeah, mind-boggling. That show is off the charts. I'm surprised more of the bigger names aren't chasing that paycheck.
Yeah.
That's a long flight. I think that's one of the things. Like, people ask me all the time, like, "Hey, what's that Dubai Expo like?" And I'm like, "Well, it's great. It's just that's a fucking hell of a trip, man.
You have to get
Like,
Yeah.
you know, 9 hours to London and then 7.5 to Dubai.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
That was definitely business class only trip.
use those points, upgrade that shit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So the men's open was $140,000. Was that
Yep.
it? Okay, $140,000, and the total prize is $500,000. Third highest payout event for the IFBB, behind the Arnold Classic and the Mr. Olympia. I heard rumors of them planning to surpass everything. Did you guys
they
heard
probably
about that?
have the money. They probably
They could easily.
You wonder if there's a little bit of political pressure, like don't go raising your prize money too high yet.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, some sheik just throws a couple million and give that to the bodybuilders.
Yeah.
You know how it works over there.
Yeah, I've actually heard that there is something about that. Like, I just, people have talked like you can't go more than what the Olympia is gonna do. You know?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Or the Arnold, or piss too many people off.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I've also heard. I saw an interesting. It was like a TikTok guy, and he was saying, "Why are the gyms in Dubai the best gyms in the world?" And he said, because they're owned, and of course I don't know how true this is, so just let me spout this information off to all of our
we'll
viewers.
call it a fact.
Yeah. But he's driving in his car and he's like, why? Because he's trying to explain why he moved to Dubai. He's like one of these guys, I can't remember where he's from.
Yeah.
And he's like, the gyms here are the best. These guys have so much money, and these gyms are they're flexes. They're just flexing. And so you go to the gym in the afternoon and there's nobody there. It's like half empty, all the machines to yourself. You just do whatever you want. It's never too crowded. They don't give a shit if they make money. Memberships are reasonably priced. They have 1,000 pieces of leg equipment. And he's like, because they don't care if they probably own the land it's on and own the building, and it's just a giant flex. They just want pros to come and just want to have fun, and I don't know how accurate that is, but it's interesting because like we know how much money's over there.
Oh yeah.
And we could see it being a thing. Like we all know people that are rich enough that they have like flex businesses. I know guys that own flex restaurants where the restaurants never made $1, but they're like, I love it. It's my steakhouse, you know, like, and I know a guy like that, you know? And so it's just, it's funny to think of like some of those gyms over there. They have, you know, that new Oxygen they put in Dubai with six floors and crazy.
That's a mall.
Yeah.
Right?
So it makes
Google
you wonder.
that for
like,
the young crowd. Google that mall.
It makes you wonder,
right.
like, how many memberships
for Amazon.
How many memberships do you need to actually cover the cost of all of that?
That's probably they probably know it's impossible.
Yeah.
And they don't care.
You know, like we'll make our money back in 50 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe. So you said you had some good questions, Scott, loaded up?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we had a bunch of good ones.
That's our full contrast coverage there. We're good.
All right. Yeah, I think that's good. I think that was solid. We got first place for kinda, and then we got sixth place. And you guys know the rest.
A picture of the rest, so we're good.
Yeah, a picture of the rest for like 3 seconds. I like that. That's good. Yeah, we actually did. We had a bunch of really good stuff. Patreon sent us some stuff. Guys from Patreon and people from YouTube. You guys commented with a bunch of stuff too.
Nice.
On that note, comment on the next show. We could always use more questions. And by the way, too, everybody loved the episode with Kuba last week.
Nice.
Though, Ron, I totally butchered the intro and the exit on that, man. We needed you badly.
Well, I was hoping...
I almost didn't get to ring my bell. I'm sitting here. I was about to leave.
I was actually very hurt. I spent the week very hurt because I saw someone commented, best episode ever.
Yeah, it was an intense, like, hardcore training episode. Kubo was pounding the table throughout.
A bit of my heart died.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, of course, it's the best episode ever. It's like if that one Bourne movie that Jeremy Renner made was like better than the ones that Matt Damon made, you know? I'm like, oh.
Kuba's on our show twice. He's already beaten your 400 episodes.
Each episode Kuba's on has like 100,000 views. I was a little upset, but Kuba's a man for that. He was great. I'm sure he brought some passion. I watched the episode. He brought some real, like you said, real table pounding.
I can't get him to stop no matter what I do. I tell him.
I was hearing it. I like the part where you said, so we should probably cheer this up a bit.
And then we ignored him and kept going.
And then he ignored you guys and went right back to like,
yeah.
You gotta dig in.
Yeah. It's exactly how it went too.
But that's why he's great. That's why Kuba is who he is, you know, because he just fucking loves to train. He loves the bodybuilding push.
He enjoyed that conversation as much as the listeners did, you know?
Yeah, we had fun.
Oh yeah, you could tell. Tell he was having a blast.
Yeah.
So,
all right, so check this one out. So Jonathan left this for us over on Patreon. He says, question for the next just bodybuilding. Which is the best Mr. Olympia second place, but using the current judging criteria? 95 Levrone, 97 Nasser, 98 Flex, 07 Victor, 09 Branch. I didn't include 2012 Kai because he would most likely have smoked the others. Thanks.
Well, 97 Nasser was unbelievable, but he still didn't have a great back double bicep.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if he could beat the 95 Levrone, because 95 Levrone was one of his best ever looks. Damn, that's a tight one. See, even 98 Flex didn't have striated glutes, really, against Ronnie. Like, Ronnie easily beat him.
Yep.
And if you put 97 Nasser next to 95 Levrone, he would beat him from the front, maybe. Mm-hmm. But I don't think he'd beat Kevin from the back, because Kevin's condition in the glutes and stuff, and the back itself. Sorry, not condition in the glutes, but the back itself. Like, Kevin's back was better than Nasser's.
Yeah.
I might say 97 or 95 Levrone. I might go with that, but 97 Nasser, man, that was an overwhelming physique too. Just know the back double wasn't great.
I'm leaning newer because Victor was so lodged in my head at that show.
He was unbelievable.
And I'm trying to picture in my mind Kevin standing next to him, because Victor's the only guy I can think of that can stand next to Kevin as far as being put together.
Yeah.
You know,
his
rear double's nuts. Kevin probably wins a rear lat spread.
Kevin would have been about 250 something and I think Victor would have been 230 something.
Yeah, so that
Not
would
that
been,
matters, but
well, with their heights and stuff, it could be. So those two to me would be your top two. Branch was absolutely, I mean, you remember that show, we were both there. He was nuts, but I just think when you put that group together, I mean, the three names we just tossed out, I mean, you've got size and conditioning and height. Like, his condition can hang with all of them, but I think they're put together better. So to me, it's either Kevin or Victor for that one.
that's a great, man.
He nailed it. He made it hard. I can't even like solidify an answer, so he did well.
I don't know. Victor was pretty damn good from the back too.
Yeah, he was nuts. I always loved the way he hit his lats look in a front and a rear lats or rear double. Yeah. Both of those shots are just because they came off like a square, straight out from the side, etched straight up, crazy arms, great triceps. I mean, obviously Levrone, but ooh, yeah.
That front double from 07 of Victor's is like one of the greatest. It's one of the best stage shots ever.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can pull some of that stuff in post-production, because I tried to start grabbing pictures and then I got stuck on where is that?
That's 07 Victor.
Yeah, that was incredible, man.
Yeah,
that is
I still
incredible.
think I would give him the edge on that one. He was
you might be
blown
right.
out.
It's funny because in the context of how our brains remember guys, we remember them in the lineups they were in. Like,
yeah.
We think like, like it's just they're two different, completely different lineups, Levrone was standing in there with Dorian and Sean Ray and like all those guys looking the way he looked. And Martinez was like between, Jay and, who else would have been in that show? Gustavo or who else would have been in 07? Yeah. I don't even remember.
Gustavo would have been in there, but I don't think he was in the top.
Right.
I feel like...
Branch was around there, wouldn't he have been?
Oh, yeah.
I guess the only thing that I look at differently is, of the names he put out, Victor's the only one who took second that people thought should have won. Like, I don't think anybody thought Kevin should have beat Dorian.
No, people think Nasser should... There's people that say Nasser should have won in 07.
Right.
So, Victor was in between Cutler. Dexter was third. Ronnie
Dexter.
Coleman fourth.
Yeah.
Oof.
Right. Dennis Wolf fifth. Gustavo was eighth. We had Silvio Samuel, Melvin Anthony in there.
Oh, yeah.
Johnny Jackson in the top 10.
The only thing that I think is different about those call-outs when you're talking about the winners is, like I've said this before, I talked to Chris and I was like, well, there's a couple of those shows that Dorian barely won, and Chris literally looked at me and goes, you weren't there.
Yeah.
He said being there, he didn't come close to losing any of them. Even when he had the torn bicep and all that, he's like, it wasn't close in person. So that to me is an interesting thing, because cameras and everything have come up so far that I feel like we get even though it's not the same as being live, we have a better understanding of what we're looking at versus back then. Because I told him the same thing. I thought Nasser had a shot, and he said no.
Yeah.
So.
Well, here's one shot from 97 that I can grab real quick. I feel like Nasser definitely wins. I mean, they're both close, but the 97 era, early 2000s bodybuilders in suits era was a whole other thing, man. They look like characters out of a cartoon mobster story.
I think you're giving him a little extra love because you also would trust him to do your accounting.
Yeah. Right, yeah.
You're like, I also think that you can make sure I maximize my deductions.
Which is ironic because Ronnie actually took accounting in college.
Right?
So Ronnie's the one that actually has accounting. Yeah.
But when I'm looking at the photo, Ronnie's the one that I want at the door when I'm negotiating some sort of a Gangs of London situation.
Ronnie looks like he has high-end mob ties.
What's that drink in his hand too? Is he drinking like some sort of Hawaiian punch? Like full sugar.
Knowing Ronnie,
the show?
that's a full sugar. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's actually barbecue sauce in it.
Yeah.
It's a Sprite. It's a Sprite. And he put some barbecue sauce in it. This is electrolytes.
That's got Masterpiece in it for sure.
Yeah. It's the best barbecue sauce they make.
Oh, a quote that only the old guys will get.
Yeah. That was good. I enjoyed that photo.
It was fun. It was a good question too. Let's see. So we did, like I said, we had a bunch of stuff that everybody had left us. In fact, I think we had a few overrated, underrateds. Oh yeah, let me just jump in with those because I pulled up the first one, which was overrated, underrated, the vertical leg press.
Drastically,
Overrated.
humongously overrated. No gym needs to spend money on one. It's a complete waste of floor space. It's a dumb machine.
I
Don't
knew
bother
your
with
answers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's the worst part about?
Yeah, with
they
you.
had one at Independence Gym,
it. I don't care what anybody says.
and they put
Come
it
at
in the
me.
middle of the gym. Also,
To hang your coat on?
so every time like a girl would be on it, I'm like, grab a towel, throw a towel between your legs. Trust me.
Right. Yeah, that's a corner piece.
Yeah, that's definitely on a wall without a mirror.
Right.
That's where that one belongs. So
Yeah. And I don't care what anybody says. Oh, it hits the quad. No, it doesn't. It's a leg press that you
Squished.
just tipped.
Yeah.
And then you can't put the back down.
Yeah.
So you can't actually open it up at all. So you're stuck in a 90-degree.
it's basically
seat.
putting the leg press with the back in the wrong position.
Yeah, you put the back all the way up and then just set it on the. Yeah, it's dumb.
On an angle. Yeah.
And I remember all those days I thought, oh, I want to try one. And then I used the one at Gold's Venice back in the day. And I was like, oh, the range on that's kind of shit. And then I thought, oh, I'll try it. And then I used an Arsenal one or a Nebula one at Armbrust. And I was like, oh, it's kind of like the range of motion's like
It
Terrible.
seems hardcore in theory. You know what I mean? Until you use it.
You're also doing sets of like 30 because you're in there so easily. You can max the thing out for reps. The only thing that machine is good for is if you're peeled out of your mind and you're Dennis James and they're filming you like 2 days out from the Olympia and you want
you
to
got
see
short shorts on?
900 cords just driving everywhere. It just displayed his conditioning like nothing I'd ever seen. I remember as a
Also,
kid watching that and I'm like, what the fuck?
there's no other type of leg press that'll give you that much spinal compression in your
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
in
Oh,
your
yeah.
like L5 S1 and all that. It's just terrible for your back. Like
I remember I used to have to get in there and like make sure I was right where I needed to be because once you unrack it, you're stuck.
yeah, you can't wiggle around or adjust
And you're
yourself.
like, oh, my feet are too low. Shit.
yeah, yeah.
And I see people with home gym setups that fall into the trap of not being able to purchase a leg press. I don't have enough space, and a good one is really expensive. But I found this one on Marketplace, that's a vertical leg press, and I tell them, hold off. Especially here, we have, I think it's called Workman. Is a local brand that was here until like the maybe the 90s. I think they closed up. But they had stuff even with like chain driven machines and stuff back
I
in
love
the
the chain
80s. It was in the 70s, cool stuff. But so I've seen those floating around. No, Weightman. Sorry, that's what it was. Weightman. WATE. Weightman. All right, what about this one? We got another overrated, underrated. This is a late entry from one of my clients who he just guessed that we were recording or something. He texted it to me. Carry on luggage. Overrated, underrated, and his thought is, he said, I'd rather just check a bag and not drag all my crap around the airport. Other people want to see me jam 5 days worth of clothes into a small briefcase and a backpack.
I board a plane with a little handbag with a meal in it, and my headphones, and a bottle of Diet Coke. And I just raw dog it all the way to London.
I never board a plane with like luggage.
Ever.
So the thing I'm carrying with me is
I can't stand that.
food for the flight,
Yep.
which is like 2 or 3 meals, depending on how far the flight is.
Yeah.
My computer, because I don't throw my MacBook down below. I don't trust those people.
Oh, God, no.
And then the 2 bottles of $700 water that I bought in the airport.
Yeah.
Because that's my biggest flex in life is that I buy water at the airport.
Right.
I don't like that. I don't like using the little dispenser that they have there now because it's warm.
Oh.
I'm like, no. Nikki loves that. What's she call it? Something water. And I'm like, it's warm. That's all it is. It's warm.
I don't mind.
Yeah,
I don't mind it. I'm all right. I bring
I
in
got a
empty
cold
bottle.
Diet Coke. I got a liter of
Yep.
Diet Coke with me.
There you go.
Yeah, but you drank less than a liter in a movie. Like you had leftover.
That's a good
Maybe you
point.
forget who you're talking to.
I also had a water in my movie.
Oh,
so there you go. I got to mix. I got to have fluids, multi-fluids.
Yes.
I'm split on this one because I like a good carry-on bag.
I
knew he would.
I don't ever
cameras and shit. I get that.
Yeah, I don't ever do the actual like suitcase luggage. The small wheel bag. Mm-hmm. I have one of those, but that's just for like overnight local trips kind of thing. I carry a backpack, and then as my personal item, I carry my CPAP. That way, CPAP isn't in the luggage. That way, I have more room in the luggage for clothes and all that. And then the backpack has, bottle for water, has my headphones, any camera stuff I need to take, of course, computer. I'm trying to think and that's generally about any medication. I'm not going to put medication under the plane, and hand sanitizer. Got to bring the hand sanitizer.
I have a real issue with people who have the backpack that's enormous, first off. Yeah. Then they bring an absolute checked item on the flight.
Like a wheel bag that's almost can't get it in the overhead.
Yeah,
I hate that.
Dude.
Check that bag.
Also, when you get on the flight with your backpack, can you remember it's on you when you're turning around and kicking the shit out of me?
Yeah.
Oh, I just want to grab the back of it and yank them down sometimes when I get hit with it.
It's those people where the backpack is thicker than they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There should be a rule. You have to be thicker than your backpack.
Mine goes under the seat. I don't want to put it up there because I don't want to have to deal with getting it down later. I don't want to have to deal with it in the middle of the flight. So I just put it down there and then get my computer out when I'm allowed, and that's it.
Let me tell you how I know my carry-on's proper. It doesn't matter how little the plane is on a puddle jumper. It fits up top.
So
my bag will fit up top no matter what flight it is.
No problem. My bag will fit under the seat in front of me no matter what plane I'm on. That's my carry-on. It's my little mutant ISO bag.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So here's what I've done before. I've gone on trips where I didn't pack. I pack pretty light. I always challenge myself to pack light. And I've got that big OGO bag that I roll around with Mutant, right, that I check. And there's been a couple trips where on my way home, I'm like, you know what? I could put my ISO bag in my check bag.
Yeah.
And I've jammed it in, took my headphones, and boarded the plane with nothing. Just headphones and a drink. And I fly home from Toronto, like 4.5 hour flight, just a drink, headphones, no bag in my hand. I love that. And I love that I'm the guy that has no bag. Everyone else is like pulling shit out of the... I can't stand that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tend to be the last person that boards the plane, too. I'm not in a rush. My seat's waiting for me. I just wait until the very
and
end.
I'm not worried about overhead space because some people are panicked. They don't want to run out of space, but my bag goes under the seat. So I just sit there and I watch everybody panic board. Mm-hmm. And then when the line thins out, I just casually stroll on. I'm always in an aisle seat.
Walk up.
Yeah. I've been the last guy to board a plane dozens of times. Very last guy. Oh, I sit right by the front. I just wait till and I just get up and go, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm on. We can leave now.
Yeah. Yeah. I know I'm an aisle seat anyways.
All right. Question for the next show. I'm looking to add one piece of leg equipment to the home gym. Here are the options. Which would it be? Compact leg press. Compact leg sled, linear hack squat is what he.
It's the one that does both, I guess.
Oh, yeah, there's actually a few good ones.
Yeah.
There's a few of those that are pretty good.
Well, hold on a second. He says compact leg sled, and then in parentheses, linear hack squat, comma, leg press / hack squat, comma, Smith machine, comma, leg curl, leg extension machine.
It's a little hard for me to give a great answer because I don't know what else he has.
Right.
But
does he have a squat rack?
He says he also adds, the weight of the equipment is an issue because it's in an attic. Contractor said it was good for 800 to 900 pounds in one spot. I'm 230, so that doesn't leave me a lot of room for a nice hack squat or leg press.
Ooh, 230. Based on that new information, I'm buying a Smith.
Yeah, because if it's a leg press or a hack, he's going to be able to put at least 500 pounds on it. And then with the weight of the machine and him, he's up over the limit.
He's going to be in his living room.
But if he gets a Smith machine, Smith machines are lighter, and he'll be squatting up and down, which is less weight. You know, maybe he's only putting 300 pounds on it.
Well, plus he can do his shoulder pressing, his
you can do
close
other things.
grips. You can do a lot of other stuff in there. Yeah, that would be my vote for sure.
All right.
The weight is the game changer.
Yeah, and I don't know what he had.
Maybe he should go with the Tom Cruise mentality. He just needs a different contractor.
Yeah. Just get a different contractor. 1,200 pounds. You're good for 1,200 pounds.
Should be fine.
Yeah.
I like a good leg extension, leg curl combo. If he can do squats, he can also do, a lot of Bulgarians. He can do that on his own, right? I like to get a leg extension and leg curl in that workout, but I don't know, man. Don't ask me because I built a home gym and it ended up being all leg equipment. So
that's what happens.
Every good gym becomes leg equipment.
An extension leg curl is a great piece.
They are
absolutely great piece. Yeah. So if he doesn't have anything like that, then maybe that's the answer, and he can just squat with a barbell.
Yeah. All right. Let's see what else we had here. Oh, somebody asked me. They said the Think Big shirts are out of stock. Would love to pick one up. I will get on that. I'll let you guys know when I hear an update on that. By the way, too, you guys are welcome to comment in the stream. I feel like we need Jim for this one because I have a feeling none of us are going to know what this is, but Jim would. He says, so when we talked to Kuba was, anti-stim. It was like your stims are messing up your workouts, especially when you get really intense. Plus, you can't eat afterward. And somebody named Fresh RH says, but the stims are so freaking fun. 1.5 scoops of DNFM. DNFM. He says, and it's so fun doing your sets and vibe in between with music, looking for your pump. DNFM.
Is that the same as MDMA?
I don't know. I feel like it's a new one that we don't know about.
DNFM?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what that stands for. Is that an acronym?
I Googled it and it was popping up all sorts of other options that were not related.
Did it have anything to do with like party drugs? Because I feel like that's maybe we're just missing the boat here.
Yeah. With him grooving to the music.
Yeah. Okay. Then you guys don't know either. Like I said, maybe Jim would know what that was.
A little bit.
What about? Okay, so this was a comment on one of the previous episodes. It was one of the reactions we did to Ronnie. Somebody just recently commented a day ago, said, I'd love to see him train at Planet Fitness these days and be all loud and they wouldn't say crap to him. And that stupid lunk alarm, blah, blah, blah. He goes on about that. And it made me think, have you guys ever trained at a Planet Fitness?
No.
Never?
No. No, I've never trained. Never been inside of Planet Fitness.
I went to one time.
What was it like?
It was for cardio. It was nice. Like, I mean, I didn't train, but everything was new and you got to do because nobody used it, pretty much.
Yeah.
And you got to get tanning with your membership. It was like it seemed like a place you go to relax more than anything else.
I do know that when we first opened West Coast Iron, I have a friend in LA who owns a place called Global Fitness.
Yep, I remember.
And he's like a giant used equipment refurbishing warehouse. Like he sends containers overseas and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I called him and I was like, hey, I need some cardio equipment and we don't have a lot of money. And he goes, tell you what. He goes, I got a bunch of treadmills out of a Planet Fitness. I'll just put some gray plastic on them and you can have them at cost.
Huh.
And he gave me like a killer deal. Like we paid like $800 a treadmill.
Wow.
For these treadmills. And they came up and they were out of a Planet Fitness and they were like 6 years old.
Yeah.
And they were in like mint condition.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Old people had just walked on them.
Yeah.
That was it. Yeah. And they lasted for like several years. And then we eventually got new stuff, new Matrix cardio.
Nice.
But yeah, it was just funny how like they came up and I mean, all the plastic, he replaced all the purple with gray.
Yeah.
But like they were fine. They were completely fine.
Brand new.
Remember when we were there, he had equipment in there like cables that you could see had never been used below like a halfway of the stack.
Yeah, like you'd see where the pin had gone.
Brand new.
Because he actually had a contract with Planet Fitness. So every time all the Planet Fitness in California, whenever they would rotate their equipment out, he would get all their equipment.
Okay.
So he had this nonstop influx of Life Fitness and like the Hammer MTS, like any pin loaded stuff. It was more pin loaded, right? And, cable stacks, and he had tons of that shit. And you could tell the pin had never been bottomed out on most of it. Yeah, it was a good place to get used stuff.
Never replaced the cables. Like, they were good.
Yeah, good place to get used stuff.
Ooh, we had another overrated, underrated. Stair mill. Overrated or underrated?
Well, it depends on what you're using it for. It's one of the hardest types of cardio. I mean, one of the things I don't like about this step mill or whatever you want to call it is that it is a little higher impact. So if you have like your thud on your knees and stuff. But if if you got no problems with that, it's a hard cardio, man. If you got to burn some calories, the step mill is probably if you're just going to spend a half hour on a step mill, man, that's misery.
Is anyone else waiting for Ron to answer the question that's listening to the show? Because he hasn't answered it all yet.
Accurately rated?
I'm going drastically overrated.
Oh, you took my answer.
And
I'm gonna say slightly overrated. You can get lean without it and all that, and I never really used it very much at all.
Yeah.
So, okay.
I'm with Dusty 100%. I feel like because you don't necessarily absolutely need, because I've known some people that are like, I need the step mill. I gotta have the step mill to get in shape. And I get it. I understand what it does, but I really do believe that you can get in shape with any piece of cardio equipment, as long as you get your heart rate up. It's more about preference, and I get honestly, I understand the benefits of it, but you could use a treadmill, you could use a bike, and then you could use an elliptical, or you could use one of those arc trainers if you really wanted to.
Those are good.
Yeah, I like an arc trainer.
I know Dusty's got dogs, but what was your reasoning?
Oh, so for me, it's just because exactly what Scott just said. I had two clients that they're like, oh, my gym only has one, and we both need it, and now it's broken, and I'm like, and then they're just like, we're gonna get to a different gym, and they kept running into the same problem. Like, I wrote step mill because you had them. I don't care.
Right.
I think on the opposite end of the spectrum, I think an elliptical is drastically underrated because people use an elliptical incorrectly and think it's easy. If your head is going like this when you're using an elliptical, you're riding it. If you're doing it right, you don't move. Your head is level the whole time, and the only thing moving your arms or your legs, that thing will whip your ass if you use it correctly. So I'm with you 100%, Scott. I'm like, I'll ask clients, what do you have at home?
Yeah.
I have this. Perfect. We will use that. It's fine. I can get you in shape on anything.
Tom has one in
hard.
Yeah, it is. Well, Tom's got one in the live stream. Opinions on psychedelics and bodybuilding. I know they are rampantly used behind closed doors. However, there are some risks when combined with mind-altering hormones. However, some claim they could be beneficial due to the changes of brain chemistry that could counteract depression onset from drug use.
I'm going to let Ron answer this because I already know his answer and I don't want to steal it.
I don't even know my answer. I got to think.
Oh, then I know it. I'm going to hit it with you real quick. The first thing is, just like weed, remove the idea that you're using it as an advantage. You're using a psychedelic because you want to.
That's the point.
So get that out of the way. Stop trying to create a reason that you're pretending that it's good for bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Once you remove that, if you want to do that, do your thing, I guess. But I've grown to the point in life where I see it all the time, where I just feel like, same with alcohol. If you want to have a drink, go ahead. If it's required for you to have a better time, I think you have a problem. Even if you're not an alcoholic. Like, it shouldn't be something you need to do. Like, anything that you're doing, to me, if you're smoking weed, if you're loading up on nicotine, whatever it is you like to do, if you can't just stop it right now because it's time to, then to me you have an issue.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I find the research on psychedelics helping with like clinical things, like some of the studies that have come out with like PTSD and helping people get past stuff. That's incredible. And they need to explore that to the farthest extent that they can, because, you know, I think that a lot of the a lot of the drugs used to combat depression and all that stuff can be very dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we see what happens when people go off of SSRIs and stuff like that. You know, like people go off Prozac and then like kill themselves. It's like insane. And
you can't say that.
You know,
I gotta make a note.
You got something in the four-letter.
Sorry, I just stated a fact.
Facts are dangerous.
I know facts are dangerous.
I got another fact to throw in on that one too, with like the antidepressants. When they're having, how do I word this without getting in trouble? Any situation where someone has brought a weapon that things come out of in large groups, the person using said thing every single time has been on some form of an antidepressant or something. So we're always trying to pin it on him being this, that, and the other. I'm like, there's one common denominator, and that's listed as a side effect.
Yeah, there's been some very crazy shit happen, and I think that a lot of the psychedelic research is very interesting. Mm-hmm. There's a couple studies now where they dosed people like a couple of times, and they stopped like addictions and stuff like that. It's because you know what I mean, it has to do with transformatively. They see their life different, and they see themselves differently, and all that sort of stuff. I think one of the things that, you know, like a lot of people say, would you ever go take ayahuasca in like Peru?
Yeah.
And one of the reasons I don't want to do that is because I hear about people like I hear that people like rewires them, and it changes their mind on things.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But I like my life. Like, I don't want to come back from Peru and be like, I don't want to own a gym anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Like, I like owning a gym. So I don't necessarily want to like hit Control-Alt-Delete on my life and like come back and be like, you know what? I just want to live in the bush.
Yeah.
And, like, I ought to sell my businesses and just I kind of like my life, so I don't really need to go to Peru to do ayahuasca. But I get it.
I watched the Aaron Rodgers documentary they just did. Well, not just did, but a year or so ago, last week, and he's huge on that. And it was really interesting to see how it affected him, and that changed his views on a lot of things in a better way. Because he was having a hard time with identifying with the fact that he was a football player. He didn't want people to know him as a football player. And essentially by the end of this documentary, he's like, I don't know why I struggled with that. It's what I've always wanted to do. It's what I like to do the most. Now I'm perfectly fine with that's how people see me. You know, it's very interesting. Right. I just saw someone put up shrooms. I had done those yearly for a while, and I will say on the mental side, it did help the first time just to realize how much nonsense I used to worry about.
Yeah.
And it was literally the next day I woke up and I'm like, I felt like I was in Office Space. I'm like, I don't care.
Right. You just walk around the guy you don't like. Just like,
You don't even give those things attention anymore. Like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I never actually, like, you know, just to, not that it matters, but I never mentioned this at all on the show, but I like quit smoking weed like over a year ago, completely. And I had like a bit of weed at Christmas time, and then I like, you know, I think I had a hit at like a concert I went to, but other than that, I like completely quit smoking weed for like a year.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is that nothing changed. So and that was one of the reasons I quit. I was like, oh, I'm just going to quit smoking weed, and I just wonder what'll change. And nothing in my life changed. I still do all the same stuff at all the same time, and manage all the same projects and get all the same stuff done. So I don't know if it really means that my life didn't get better or my life wasn't affected negatively. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know really what that means. But I think it's a good thing. I think if you were to quit drinking or something and your life got radically better, then you really know you had like you're doing too much of something.
And usually if you get to a point where you need to quit drinking, you already know that your life's out of control. Right. A lot of times, you know what I mean?
Right. I was more like just curious. I was more like, I'm just going to quit smoking weed and just see what happens.
Same.
So nothing really changed.
I'm going to tell you guys something. I don't know if I don't think I've ever said any of this on the podcast before. Probably not going to blow your minds, but I might blow your minds. So back years ago, you know how like we do a lot of like bodybuilding education and like we share all this information. We have the internet. There was a time that people would have seen me as kind of like the exact same thing, but with psychedelics.
Right.
Like back years ago. And to the point where like, and I forgot about this when I was like 19, 18, I was trying to figure out how to set up a pirate radio station. And it totally tracks, you know what I mean, with where I'm at today. But yeah, it was something that I was like really into researching and experimenting with. But I'll say, you know, like Timothy Leary on one side of the fence back in the 60s, and like Ken Kesey and the Merry Pranksters were on the other side. So Timothy Leary was all like, you know, at Harvard University and keeping things like very scientific, where the Merry Pranksters were like setting up parties around the country in 1965 with like big barrels of Kool-Aid. And they're like, this is the Kool-Aid for the lions and this is the Kool-Aid for the lambs. You can pick which one you want to drink from. And I'll say this, through my experimentation, which this isn't the reason I got in recovery, that happened much later. I realized that most of my experiences were not productive, and that's because I wasn't in a productive setting, and I used them as a recreational compound. You know what I mean? It was because I wanted to take it. There was no intent or purpose behind it. And I do think that we are getting to a place now where like if you were to tell me this stuff back in 96, 97, my mind would have been blown where we're at with psychedelics today. And I do think that there are some really potential good benefits to them, but I also think that you have to be in the right setting with the right intention and in the right mindset to begin with. I think that a lot of people are chasing an answer, trying to fix something, and they're desperate, and that sometimes those people are the ones that they've had issues with ayahuasca where it changes them for the worse, you know. They go to do this experience and they come back and they're just never the same again, you know. And the same thing with the other psychedelics, and I've seen that happen to a lot of people. I had one very positive experience with psychedelics, and I hadn't used them in a long time. And I lived in New Mexico, and I was dating this girl, and I knew that I needed to get out of this relationship.
And out of New Mexico.
Yeah. I love New Mexico. I was in Santa Fe. I was like, I got to get out of this relationship. And this hippie chick I knew from town had picked these mushrooms from the side of the mountain. And she's like, I have a freezer full of them. So I went to her place and she gave me some. And she said, now, only one stem and one cap because these are really strong. Okay? I was like, okay, yeah, I gotcha. And I took these and I left work like 9 p.m. at night. And I had to be to work at like 1 o'clock 6 o'clock the next evening. And that was the longest window I had off for the whole week. Working in photography, it was this back-to-back, constant, up all night, you know, basically sunrise photo shoots to, you know, developing film in the evening and then hitting the bar with everybody I worked with, like just partying, working hard and partying is hard. So anyway, I drove 5 hours, got out of work at 9 p.m. I drove 5 hours down to White Sands, New Mexico. And I ended up sleeping in the back of my van. I had an old van at the time. Didn't have anything back there, just like a sleeping bag. That was it. And I waited for the sun to come up. White Sands, New Mexico. Do you remember The Doors, the movie, Ron?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember the peyote trip they did? And it was in the desert.
Yeah.
That was in White Sands. It's made out of gypsum, that sand. So it's pure white, like the color of talcum. It's made the same thing they use that to make talcum powder. So it's literally like this white rolling. It's so white that the sky looks purple when it's blue. And that's not on psychedelics, right?
Right.
So the sun's coming up and I sit in White Sands and I climb up to the top of this hill and I get the mushrooms out and I eat 2 stems and 2 caps. She said, oh, just eat one, you know.
Pull the Ronnie Coleman.
And I sat there and I waited for a sign, you know. And I waited and like eventually this crow flew around me and it landed on a hill 2 hills away from me. And I said, okay, well, there's my message. I need to walk that direction. So I started walking that direction, and I found a mountain on the horizon. Now, mind you, they had these big poles that were like 20 foot tall and bright colored so that you could follow them out into the desert. This path, there was no poles. So I'm literally walking straight out into the desert, looking at these two mountains on the horizon and trying to go that path. And I thought to myself, well, as long as the wind doesn't pick up, I can follow my footsteps back, you know? So I walk and I walk and I walk, and it got really hot, and I had a poncho and my Camelback and a bottle of Gatorade, and that was it. And like nothing ever happened. Nothing came to me. There was no like definitive moment, and I finally gave up, and I was semi-heat stroked. I turned around and I started walking back, and I was walking literally for hours and hours. And I realized that on my walk back that my path wasn't the straight line I thought it was. I realized that there was like this big hill, so I walked around it, or there was this like little shrub that I wanted to see, so I walked over there, and I started seeing that, like, you know what, maybe the path that I walk in life isn't the path that I intended. It's just the way that things happen to go. Life takes you in these different directions, but I get to where I need to be. And somehow in having that realization, I came back and I broke up with that girl. And I never had any like remorse or anything. I was struggling with breaking up with her for a long time. I did it, cut it clean, and I moved on, and it was never a problem since. Like, that was it. And I had heat stroke too, like major heat stroke.
And he didn't die in the desert, which is good.
Yeah, thankfully the wind didn't pick up, and I was able to follow my path back. But that was the only time that I had like a positive experience.
That's interesting.
Sorry for the.
No, that's a great story. I love that. I love how the path, seeing your path and everything.
Yeah, it was crazy out there, man. When you get far out in the desert by yourself, you start seeing, and I'm not talking about like visually seeing things. Like, there's just shit out there. Like, I brought back, like, because it was a missile testing range too. I found like pieces of shrapnel that were embedded with like melted to sand and stuff. It was, it was strange, man. That's where they tested like the first atomic bomb back years ago.
These are all signs that I need to get back to the road.
Yeah. It was crazy, man. It was good. Sorry. That was it.
That was great.
No, that's great stuff. That's great stuff.
So we go back to bodybuilding stuff after that?
Sure.
All right.
Can you?
Yeah.
Can we after that?
All right. Question for the show. And he posted it on our show. He said, okay, let me know how much HGH should you take for muscle growth? Thank you.
Well, I mean, let's assume it's really good GH. I mean, how much do you take for muscle growth? I mean, you need at least 3 or 4 IUs a day, I think. I mean, anything less than that is kind of just like you're in the like the longevity HRT zone if you're doing 1 or 2 a day, I think. I mean, that's just a meathead in me. I don't have a study, but I'm just thinking from personal experience, like 3 or 4 a day is enough to help on paper. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I can tell you that for me, when Chris would start, we do 4 like all year.
Yeah.
And then during prep, he would kick it up. 6, 8 was like our peak. And at 8, I would be losing fat and not losing weight.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, there were 2 preps I had where my lowest weight during the prep was like 8 weeks out, and my weight on stage was 5 to 10 pounds heavier than that, completely peeled.
I always had sock rings on like over 4. If I had over 4, I use a GH. I always knew I had water because I would have like pretty deep sock rings all the time.
Did you get like the carpal tunnel and stuff from it?
No, I know other guys that would really complain about that, but mine was mostly sock rings. And then I dropped the GH, and like within a week,
just dry out.
Ankles would be dry.
Yep.
Yeah.
Same. But I didn't have the sock rings because I wear short socks.
You gotta just get sock rings down by the short socks.
Oh, this is terrible. Jennifer in the live stream. She says, what do you say to someone when it's your off season and someone comes up to you and asks you if you're pregnant? LOL, yes, this just happened.
Oh, it used to happen to me all the time at 320.
Hey, bro, you pregnant?
Oh, we just
say,
let him
no,
know.
I just had Pizza Hut.
Yeah, I'm not pregnant, but I'm in just as much pain.
Right.
I don't think you're supposed to ask a woman if she's pregnant ever. You know what I mean?
No, unless
Ever.
she tells you that you're pregnant. Then you follow up with like how long. My first wife's mother had done that in front of me at least 2 or 3 times to someone who wasn't pregnant. And I'm like, ooh, how do you make that mistake once and then go, this is a question I'm going to keep asking people that are fat? I don't know.
I've been talking. I've run into people that I haven't seen for a long time, and they're clearly pregnant.
You don't
like
say
8 months, just
like,
ballooning
don't
out,
say
and
anything.
I just ignore it like it's not even a thing. I see their face is all swollen, and their hands, their rings are squishing their fingers, and they're like, "Hey, Ron, how you doing? I haven't seen you for a while." I'm like, "Hey, what's new? How's it going?
Look down. Don't look down.
How's the husband doing? Oh, good. His company's doing well. Good to see you. Yeah. So what's new?" And then they'll go, "Well," and I'll go, "What?"
I'm not doing it. I'm not
Like,
doing
I don't
it.
fall for that trap, you know? Well, I've kind of, I haven't been working out lately. I don't know what they're going to say. I just fucking pretend I don't notice.
That's
No
funny.
idea.
My
They
mom
have
told
to
me.
say.
He sees a foot kicking and he's like,
They have
still
to
not sure.
say, like,
Still
I'm
not
37 weeks pregnant. I'm like, really? Yeah,
You
act
look great.
surprised. Yeah.
My mom told me I did that when she was pregnant with my sister, that we were in the line at the grocery store, and I'm learning as like a 2-3-year-old kid like what being pregnant is, and I said, "Mom, look, that lady's pregnant too." And she was just like a real obese woman.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
I had a friend that went to the Olympia one year, and she's a huge bodybuilding fan. She's going around to everybody at the Meet the Olympians with her son.
Yeah.
She went up to one of the female favorites of hers, and her son goes, "Why do you sound like a man?" Oh. And she's like, "Oh."
Kids just so honest.
Just bam.
I love how kids.
She's like, "I just grabbed his head and we just left the
I
table."
love how kids haven't learned to lie yet. You know what I mean? Some kids haven't learned to like.
Yeah,
they haven't
straight
learned.
to your face. Oh, I was
Yeah.
like, that was cozy. She goes, "Yeah, I didn't get that autograph. We just walked away."
Yeah.
On that note.
Hey, when we were talking about psychedelics and all that, somebody said my grandma accidentally had weed gummies at Christmas one year. It was her best Christmas ever.
Oh, that's amazing. I had someone give me some weed cookies, and I'm not a big, like, I was never an eat weed guy, just because it's such a commitment.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's
That's an 8-hour show.
It's an 8-hour situation, right? Like, it's just, I just wasn't into it, you know what I mean? So someone gave me some weed cookies, and they actually sat in the fridge for a while. And I remember I came home, and Emily was on the couch, and she's like, sitting there like this. She's like, "I ate one of those cookies."
And you're like, what cookies? Because they're been in
like,
there
yeah.
so long.
She's like, "One of the cookies in your drawer where you keep your junk food."
Oh.
And she's like, "That's a weed cookie, isn't it?" And I'm like, "How long ago did you eat it?" She's like, "About 45 minutes ago." And I'm like, "Yeah." And she goes, "How strong is it?" I'm like, "I don't know.
Buckle up.
I didn't eat any of them. They've been in there for months."
At least that might make
she's
them
like-
weaker or something, you know?
She
Who
was
knows?
kind of mad, but laughing. She's like,
Yeah.
fuck, I was going to do stuff.
Not
I was like,
anymore.
"You're not
Old
doing
days.
anything now."
You
And
remember
like, and this is Emily. She literally consumes 0 drugs or alcohol hardly ever, right? Like, you know, like she's just like
She was
straight edge
wrecked.
almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, just completely zero tolerance for any of that. Like, just like a sledgehammer, you know. Probably.
You remember Jake Wilson I used to train with? He's a pro.
Yeah.
He had the same thing happen, but he went to a party and there was a cake. And he really enjoyed the icing. So he had like smashed extra icing on his. Oh. And he's eating it. And the lady who made it's like, so all of the elements are in the icing.
You know,
He was-
old school Hollywood buffet.
He got couch locked. He was literally just sitting on the couch, couldn't stand up. We had to literally, like, he's like, "I was just locked." He goes, "I couldn't get up, I couldn't move."
What do you mean Hollywood buffet? You
Yeah,
mean drugs
you know-
are in the food? Well, what else does that mean? I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Anyone who's seen the studio will get that. What a great scene was that, eh, Scott?
Oh, that was amazing, man.
The good news is Scott's cookies have not been, Ron's cookies have not been touched since, and they're just normal cookies.
Yeah, at this point. Yeah. You can eat them all now.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember there was a story of the couple that called the 911 because they were there, and it turned out that they were cops. They got them the weed from the evidence locker. Oh,
That's
my
a great audio
God.
Clip. I think I'm dead.
I think I'm dying. I think I'm dead. I think I might get demonetized for that, but whatever.
So
and then
funny.
and then in the middle of that, he's like, "What's the score of the Red Wings game?"
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to know.
Oh man! And then the girl on the phone's like, "I think you could just wait this out."
Yeah.
Like, you should be able to just wait. I think I need an ambulance.
Yeah. So they were cops. They got that weed from the evidence locker, and they got in some big trouble for that one.
They
That's
called
so
themselves
funny.
in, basically, so that's on them.
Yeah.
But come on. You get zero experience with weed, and you're gonna bake what? They probably stole like ounces of weed, and they baked them into a tray of brownies.
Yeah.
Like, it serves you right.
Who is this Melonhead's last comment, Ron? How do you say that guy's name?
Oh, Dan Fedaluk. He just had a typo there.
Oh, okay. Dan
Did any of you
Fedaluk?
see Dan Fedaluk's? Well, Dan Fedaluk's an old training partner of mine.
You're
I haven't heard
kidding
from
me.
him. Yeah, he won the Canadas in 2004. He was a great bodybuilder.
How do you spell his name?
I don't know what he's doing now. Well, I just misspelled it. It's Fedeluk. Fedaluk.
Okay.
Yeah, great bodybuilder.
Yeah? Was he a
Yeah.
good poser or something?
Yeah, he did a cool guest posing where he painted himself red like a demon.
Oh.
And that was at the 2006 Nationals in Saskatoon, where I actually got second and Fouad won.
Oh, you're kidding me.
And Dan Fedaluk was a guest poser at that show.
All right.
And so, yeah, I did see that routine because I was at that show in the super heavyweights.
I don't see it showing up here. I was going to try to grab it if I could. I do see a picture of him. Big bald dude.
Yeah. I mean, I don't remember when he shaved his head, but yeah.
Yeah. Good looking bodybuilder for sure.
Yeah, he was good.
I think that was about all the questions that we had lined up here, guys, by the way.
It's pretty locked and loaded there. I had thrown a couple in. Let me see something real quick. I asked ChatGPT for some just to see what it came up with. And I thought this one was decent. Looking back at legends like Dorian Yates or Ronnie Coleman, would their success translate today, or would their all-out training style be considered reckless by current standards?
Would their all-out training styles be considered reckless by current standards?
No, they showed results, and I think that's what I don't know. They showed that like people are attached in what's in vogue is kind of like the intense thing happening now for like that crowd. Like I'm thinking of how people look at JP, and in 10 years there will be people who will be like, I can't believe JP used to train like that when we know so much more now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like there will be that crowd. Just like there was about Dorian, just like the Dorian crowd would be like, oh, remember the way Arnold trained 4 hours a day? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah,
I feel like that's been like turned up a little more by bodybuilders who believe in just going to the gym and training hard. I think like in the gym, I don't see a bunch of kids training for reps in reserve. I don't hear a bunch of chatter about all these things, and it seems as though it's being highlighted more than it actually is.
That's that's the thing about the noise. Mm-hmm. The noise is louder than it's actually, you know what I mean? It's amplified falsely.
Yep.
I think if our current Mr. Olympia, like if Samson was putting up training videos where he lifted like Ronnie, right, the same style as Ronnie, then people would there'd just be more people lifting like that. They wouldn't be criticizing it. There'd just be more people lifting like that. Because whoever is Mr. Olympia always dictated a certain style of training. Like when Dorian was Mr. Olympia, everyone was trying the Dorian split. And when Ronnie was Mr. Olympia, everybody was squatting and deadlifting and doing lunges. Yeah. I remember it. I saw it happen. Nobody was barbell lunging during the 90s.
Yeah. Then everyone was.
And then all of a sudden Ronnie wins the Olympia and his video comes out and then everybody's parking lot lunging. It was just like, it's just how it is. So it wouldn't be criticized. It would just be emulated.
Yeah.
I also think the thing that gets thrown off now is, say you come into bodybuilding now, okay, and you follow James Hollingshead, and you watched him train, you go, this is how James became what he is. But it's not. Like, James talked about that. Like, there's no reason for him to do an 8-plate squat anymore. He doesn't need to do that. He's already done it. Now the risk to reward ratio doesn't match up.
No.
Right.
He's older, things will break. But back then it was needed. So I think sometimes you watch people and you, if you see them now and don't know how they got here, you just assume this is what they've always done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, same, like we've talked about this before, Ron. People are like, Jay doesn't train heavy. I'm like, I've seen Jay incline 470 before in front of me.
Right.
Like, what are you talking about?
You saw him
Yeah.
do that in person, huh?
Yeah, like it's like, no, he used to train heavy as hell, and then he didn't need more muscle mass. He had to change the way he trained. He was getting older. You got to look into those types of things. So you just can't do that. And I think that's where the carryover kind of gets lost in some of these, because the question mark is, well, how did they train when they're where you are to become where they are now?
Yeah.
You know, how did they eat versus now and then? You know, same thing. I mean, a lot of these guys have their size. They're not getting as heavy in the offseason. They don't need to, but they used to.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, or let's see here, that DNFM was do not fucking miss.
Yeah, okay. That makes
That's
sense, Eric.
That's JP's pre-workout. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah.
See, now it
Yeah,
makes
see,
sense.
I thought it was like 1,3 DMA.
You were
or
looking for like an
something.
ingredient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something I didn't know about the bodybuilding chemists were making.
Yeah, is that
Yes.
like, do you, what was it? What was that 1,3 dimethyl? Back
Yeah,
in
so
the day?
I figured that it was going to be a conversation like, so we took 1,3 DMA and we moved one molecule from the seventh
now it's
position.
legal.
Yeah, exactly.
There was a lot of that in the in the early 2000s.
Yeah, a lot of that molecular tweaking.
Yeah,
to
no,
get
it's
past the
completely
FDA.
illegal, and it
Remember
works
the
twice
FDA
as
used
good.
to because they would target exact things. So like, oh cool, we'll just change it a little bit. Now it's legal.
Yeah. Just
Then they
move the
kind of
carbon,
Then they
move the
kind of
carbon.
blanketed it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
let's get in front of this. That was solid.
I had a question that I really liked
What's that?
that I got to hit you guys with. I had two. What is one thing you've learned from Scott and one thing you've learned from Dusty? That was asked of me on my question
Oh, boy.
box. So I thought I would present that. And
I know what he learned from Scott.
so I had time to think about this. You guys didn't really have time to think about this, so I'll go first. The joke was that I've learned from Scott is stay strapped or get clapped. Right? But actually, you sort of both of you guys, but mainly Scott is one of the things I really respect about you, Scott, and is that your evidence that you can reinvent yourself. And you can completely change your life, and you can reinvent your life
Okay.
more than once,
Yeah.
Yep.
and you're not ever stuck in a place. You can completely leave that place behind, and you can move on and create a completely new life.
Huh.
And you can find new passion, and you can move in a new direction, because your story is very inspiring.
Wow.
And I mean, for those of you who didn't see the Dave Tate interview, it was mind-boggling to me. And so, that was something that I've learned from you, and that I really respect about you. So that's one thing I've learned from you. And then Dusty too is similar, but Dusty, I've learned that you can stop doing bad habits and terrible things.
They weren't terrible. They were fun.
No, one thing I've learned from Dusty, you're very this is what I'm doing.
Huh.
And you do not give a fuck about what other people suggest, or like Dusty does his own life. Dusty's life is created by Dusty. He is the curator of his existence, and it's great because I think about it sometimes, like, oh, what should I do with this? What should I do with that? And I think, well, what would Dusty do? I've actually thought that. What would Dusty do? Well, he would do the thing he wants to do the way he wants to do it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, why don't I just do that?
And that doesn't mean that he's closed-minded to listening to ideas. It's just that, you know what I mean? It's just that
he's taken many of them into account already.
Yeah.
Dusty doesn't drag his feet. You know, some people are indecisive. And they're like, well, this one friend said this and this one friend said this. And then 6 months later, they haven't made a decision.
Yeah.
That's not Dusty. Dusty's like, I'm selling my house and I'm moving. Just bought a house today.
Yeah.
3 days later. Just bought the house next to it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah.
I'll be able to do the podcast. Well, you just let you know, but I don't have internet until, whatever, tomorrow.
Yeah. Dusty's very decisive, and he pulls the trigger on things without dragging his feet or wasting time. And that was before the death as well. Mm-hmm. But since the death, you've been very decisive as to what you want out of life and what you expect from other people if they want to be in your life.
Yeah.
Which is also a great thing, because some people don't have a standard that they hold other people in their lives to. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And they waste time letting other people waste their time. Right? Dusty doesn't let anyone waste his time. You're either in or you're out. I'm doing this. This is my life. On or out. Like, the train's leaving. And so I respect that. So those are two things I learned from you guys. Yeah. I hoped you liked them. I hope you like those.
I appreciate that. And
we're stuck with them either way, because that's
yeah,
because we're live.
Yeah, I was gonna have Scott edit this one real quick. Give you a little. What about this option?
Yeah.
Hey, I've got one that I'm gonna apply to both of you guys. Is that you with the podcast, that getting to know you guys, we just get in, we get it done. We make the best of it, no matter what the situation is. And I've mentioned that before, like the first time that we sat down to do the live podcast, I think we all kind of looked at each other and we're like, we're not sure how this is going to go, but we're going to make this work and it's going to improve, And I think that there's no pressure, because I have podcasted with some people where it's like, everything's like, oh fuck, it's on us if we don't do this right, and like you guys just are like, well, we'll just make it, we'll just do it, and it'll be right. It'll be what it is, and mm-hmm. we can accept that. Yeah, I've gotten that from both of you guys, and I feel like that's rubbed off on me over the years, that I've become more laid back to a degree in the way that I do things because of that.
I think chasing perfection prevents people from getting a lot of stuff done.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that doesn't mean that you shouldn't try to be perfect. But if it's going to paralyze you, then you're never going to move forward. And a lot of times, like I think of some of my favorite bands, and they'll talk about their first album. And they hate their first album. It might be your favorite one, but they're like, oh, God, the guitar solos are terrible. We had one day to lay them down, and the drums sound horrible. We had a week, and we were running out of money, and we just had to get it done and push it and punch it out.
Exactly.
And a lot of times the things that you're worried about, no one else gives a shit.
Like with the reactions, like we just kind of took a leap and just got into it, and I didn't know how it was going to go. You guys didn't know how it was going to go, and I think it's turned out really good,
Yeah, no, it's definitely. I was going to say that one of the big things that I've seen.
Scott cheated, by the way. He did a 2-for-1, but
yeah, he did. We're going to let it slide. I would say the big thing that I've seen from Ron is, and I know this, but it's really driven home because I'm around enough, is the importance of relationships. And I'm not talking about, we're talking, it could be a 5-minute thing. Ron has a Rolodex of people who could reach out to him at any point, whether it's for a business opportunity or just information, whatever, because he takes the time to really invest in talking to people.
Yeah.
I told that story about what happened when we were in Germany. That's all the time, and I think the thing that I kind of drove home with that is that's in the importance of being at your best all the time with these first impressions and things like that. Like that guy we saw, he met him once, And somehow in that timeline, enough was laid there where that guy took a little note in his head and was like, I need to know this person, and kept an eye. And I think that that's something that, a lot of us, and myself definitely included, is where sometimes you're like, I don't really feel like talking right now. And you just kind of shuffle to the left, skip that situation, and you don't know how many of those you've passed up that could be not just beneficial for you, but as cheesy as it sounds, it could be like for the world. Those relationships are enormous. And I think the big thing with Scott, kind of along the lines with what Ron said, was it's not just the evolution from way back in the day, but the evolution that's taken place since we've done this show. Scott was when we started, Scott, you wanted to make sure that the viewers were okay with what you had to say.
Yeah. And that's kind of part of what I was saying too.
Yeah,
about
sometimes you
getting
didn't want to weigh in, and now it's the opposite. I think you've realized that just the same reason we had Scott, for those of you guys who haven't been with us a long time, we just convinced him to come into an episode. We're like, yeah, you're in today, and you're not going to, because he was behind the scenes. It was just Ron and I. And as soon as we hung up, Ron or I, one of us reached out to the other one. We're like, we're never going back, because it was just so much easier. And as you've gotten, as I say, you got off the fence with everything. You're just like, this is how I see it. And I don't think you can benefit people when you're trying to decide what they want to hear, possibly.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more voice in that. So when I watched that, I think that showed that you are somebody who's very aware of where you're at now, and where you're like, you know what, I'm fine with who I am, so I'm just going to roll it out there. And I think a lot of people have responded, and that's why when Ron and I do expos and you're not there, people are like disappointed. They're like, where's Scott? I'm like, he didn't come. They're like, what? And I'm like, yep, just stuck with us.
Well, that's
sorry about that.
That's Dusty. That's what I'm saying. I feel like hanging out with you guys, that's rubbed off on me. So there's that. So I owe that to you guys.
It's funny. I watched the thing. I wanted to bring this up on the show anyways, but Nikki got me completely addicted to the hell's up the podcast with Chris.
Chris
Willix?
Yes.
Oh yeah, Modern Wisdom.
Okay.
So I listen to that all the time.
He's a great guy,
and he had a great quote actually from Alex, and he said and this is something I think everyone who's listening should think about. Where he said, Alex was saying, I thought of something the other day. He said, from today on, all the wealth I accumulate, all the things I can create over the next 20 years, when I get there, I'd give it all back to have the health and the ability to do it like I did 20 years ago. And he said, that's when I realized that the richest time of my life is right now. And I think about that, like just dealing with bodybuilding and stuff. I'm like, when you go to the gym, when you're young and you're trying to make $1 or whatever you're doing, don't lose track of the fact that you're living possibly one of the best times of your life right then. Like, I never thought about how will my body feel? What will this do? Is my knee going to be fine today? You look back, you're like, dude, that was the best time.
Yeah.
So I find that all very interesting. So, and that same thing could be said now from 20 years from now, and the same thing 20 years from then. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of people are living for tomorrow, not realizing that today is actually probably the best moment.
Right. Chris Willix had a great quote that I just posted to my story, actually. He said, imagine that someone is watching your life as a movie.
Okay.
Oh, I saw that. That's great.
And right now, at this point in time in the movie, what are they screaming at the screen?
Yeah. Dump the girlfriend, or
like, you need to quit that job, or the killer's in the basement, or don't eat that, it's poisonous.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are they screaming at the screen? Like,
Yeah.
it's so obvious the guy who's backstabbing you is your boss.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and just try to stop and think about that, and 9 times out of 10 you already know what they're screaming at the screen.
Yep.
Like, you need to quit doing that,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
or you need to start taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
Like, whatever it is. But
Wake up earlier, or
imagine
whatever.
someone's watching your life as a movie, and right now in the movie they're screaming something at the screen. What is it? And I thought that was like, whoa, that's
I like that.
Yeah.
On the opposite, before I reformed myself, I used to say, live a life writing a book about. And it wasn't a book that had a happy ending, but it was an interesting one, let me tell you.
Right. Yeah.
What Not to Do by Scott McNally.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That was the
That's
Beat
awesome.
Poets thing, the beatniks, like William Burroughs and Ken Kesey, or excuse me, who's I think Ginsberg and all those guys. They were all into the idea of that art was life, so they lived their lives, and that was what you wrote about.
Right.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yes. It's funny you've mentioned Burroughs and Terrence McKenna in the same podcast.
Yeah, we got a little heavy in this one.
No, that's good. I
That's
know.
back
I know.
to back.
I just want you to know. I know both those guys.
I don't think I mentioned Terrence McKenna. I think.
Oh, who did you mention earlier?
I
about psychedelics.
I did say Ken Kesey and the Merry Pranksters, and then I
That's right,
said, who was it? Now his name's on the tip of my tongue. Timothy Leary.
Timothy Leary.
Yeah.
That's who you mentioned. Timothy Leary. Yeah.
They had it all planned out where you used like you came in and you had like IV medications, and before you were administered the dose, they'd give you like a sedative so that you were relaxed, and then they'd give you an amphetamine so you were relaxed but up. And then they would, 45 minutes later, then you got the dose. Versus these other guys had a big garbage can full of Kool-Aid and dumped the stuff
Drink
into
as much as you'd like.
Yeah.
That's wild. That's wild.
I met Ken Kesey. He was in Ann Arbor at a book signing, and they had the Further bust. It was spelled Futhur, and it was like their movement to think further. The bus was like the original hippie bus, painted all the colors on the outside and painted all the colors on the inside. They had a PA system on the inside to blast what was going on to the outside, and then they had a PA system on the outside to blast what was going from the outside to the inside. God. And it was Neil Cassidy, who was one of the beatniks. He drove the bus. He was like kind of a pretty crazy guy. They all had pretty rough lives, you know what I mean, in the end. But Ken Kesey was still around back in the 90s when I met him.
That's wild.
There's a Clutch song that has a lyric that I always laughed, and I won't tell you the whole lyric, but the one line is, "Be leery of Timothy." And most people don't get that line as like kind of a little flip of the name, right?
Yeah.
Be leery of Timothy. That's the one line. I'm always laughing when I hear it, Yeah. Crazy guys.
Classic.
Crazy guys. Hey, drink
All
the
right.
Kool-Aid. Okay. Is that it? We're going to wrap that?
We will
Wrap it up.
monetize this one as drug-related content, entertainment, and educational.
With some minor violence.
No, none of that.
No.
We don't say that.
Okay, we don't say that. I was going to say something before. Before we finished. Oh, I was going to say one thing about TV.
Oh,
What's
there we
that?
go. Good.
So we all know the Tyler Sheridan shows, right?
Yes.
Yellowstone, Landman, Lioness.
Yep, I'm watching that now.
Lioness is good.
Yeah,
We got right into it. Second season?
Yep.
How about the ending of that first season, eh?
Yes.
That fight in the kitchen?
Oh, that's fantastic.
Linus?
Lioness?
Yeah, great
Yeah,
one.
I haven't seen that.
Oh, that's good.
That's
Nicole
solid.
Kidman's in it. But
Right.
it's so
They didn't waste any money on actors. I can tell you
No,
that.
Okay.
it's good.
I like Nicole
So-
Kidman.
Tyler Sheridan takes that formula and he drops it on Yellowstone. Drops it. Ranches, right? It's like Sons of Anarchy, but ranches.
Yeah, exactly.
And
what
then
that
he
was.
just drops it on the oil industry and you get Landman.
Okay.
And then he just drops it on Lioness and it's the special forces, like
Oh.
anti-terrorism. So it's all the same characters. You got like this character who's kind of like that and this character who's kind of like that. And it's the same formula. It's
He's smart. It's always working.
formula that works. Episode 1 takes you here. There's a bit of a, episode 3, you get a big punch. Like, it's a formula, total formula. And we just finished season 2. It was probably technically the worst one, but it was fun. It was total junk TV. But we watched Tulsa King with Sylvester Stallone.
Okay.
And it's kind of the same Tyler Sheridan formula, but it's dropped on kind of these gangster mob guys that are running a weed business.
Yeah.
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 I like that one.
So it's been fun. But it was fun seeing Stallone the whole time. Like
Yep.
every couple of episodes, Emily will look at me and go, I can't believe he's 76.
Yeah, she just scratched his name into the list of 5.
But the thing about Stallone that's impressive in Tulsa King, I mean, it's not like, he's got a T-shirt on sometimes and he looks like great.
Yeah.
Right? But it's like his posture and how he moves. Like he walks like he's 50.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Chest up, walks, carries himself, moving around. And you're just like, Jesus, because her uncle's the same age.
Yeah.
And she's just like, I can't believe that he's 75. And then, of course, he's banging chicks.
Yeah.
And you're just like dying laughing. It's just, it's pretty funny. But Stallone's done well.
4 units a day, year round.
4 units a day.
Yeah, for sure.
4 IU and some kettlebells, some barbells.
Yes.
Yeah.
All that.
And a Costco membership.
Little TRT, Costco membership. Dusty knows the deal. Okay. So anyways, anyone who enjoys the Taylor Sheridan formula, there's 4 shows for you. And now we got the Mayor of Kingstown. We might watch the Mayor of Kingstown.
So good.
Which is the same formula, but it's dropped on kind of the prison industry.
That one is fantastic.
Right?
Jeremy Reiner is awesome.
Jeremy Reiner in it, yeah.
Yep.
So anyways, that's our thing.
Victoria, if you're watching, write these down.
Okay. Are we wrapping?
We're rapping.
Okay. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Remember, like, share, subscribe, comment, and...
Ring the bell.
Yes, remember, IamMutant.com. Get your IsoSurge, get your all in, and everyone should get on the gear. You can go on the website, order any supplements that you need, and you don't have to leave the house. You don't have to do anything. They come right to your door. You'd be amazed how fast they show up. People quite often go, I got my stuff already. That's super fast. So just give it a try. Dusty and Big Ron are your codes. Use them. Abuse them.
Please abuse them.
Okay.
Patreon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you to everybody from Patreon. And
yes,
I'll get on the T-shirts for Think Big. I've got the link to that below. And check this shirt out. I know you guys saw it last time I wore it, but you can get these at the West Coast Iron website, right, Ron?
Yes.
That one's not on the website yet, but it's coming.
Okay. But you get other ones.
Then go to the West Coast Iron website. We got some shirts up. We got lots of cool stuff. We got the Death Row Records one.
Oh, that's a cool one.
But it's West Coast Iron. Yeah, we got that one. We got the weed shirt. The West Coast Iron, but with the pot leaf on it.
Yeah.
All you 420s, go check that out. So you'll love that stuff. Get a hoodie, whatever. Okay, thanks everyone. Remember, it's just bodybuilding.